Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're looking at the Cobra Mamba. Now, the Mamba is a interesting helicopter that they had created for Cobra. The Cobra Mamba was first released in the United States in 1987 and was piloted by the Gyro Viper. The Mamba was also sold in '88 and unfortunately was discontinued in 1989. Now, the Mamba, outside of being a regular attack helicopter, also had two small, more or less, jet fighters. Um, they're tiny little micro jets in a lot of respects and all that. Um, as you can see, we have your main Mamba attack chopper and our black attack jets on the sides here. So you know you're bringing three vehicles in at the price of one in a lot of regards here. So, and the fact that we had the offset rotor blades kind of helps for things. And I don't know exactly how stable this would be. I know that there is a certain characteristics to have the twin rotor blades, but typically, if my understanding is correct, you have to go opposite of each other. Now, I don't know how well this works. I'm just looking at it as it is a fun chopper to think about the fact that you have one main pilot and you have two extra pilots, and they all have their own vehicles in those regards. So um, I'm hoping that we can do this with all good um, justice for the Mamba here as we look at all the nice views that we have. And of course, here we have the two micro attack jets off in front of the Mamba attack helicopter. And a nice, excuse me, isometric views. Okay, so we look at the box art, and it has this wonderful view, is a raised isometric, and in the rear or the back cover of the box itself, and then we get into our blueprints here. Now, I did kind of take some of the names because we do have the Nemesis missiles; those are air to ground. I did not put in the Diablo for the air to air missiles. I did just call them the air to air missiles. So um, I do apologize. I didn't add that extra flavor in there. But as we kind of go on here, looking at our actual vehicle here, easily broken and or lost pieces. The propeller blades for the Mamba can break easily. The engine covers and exhaust ports are prone to loss. Additionally, the small levers for the bomb releases tend to be missing, along with any combination of missiles and bombs. Uh, we have featuring in our Marvel comics. So we have Flint. It looks like the Joes have actually confiscated one of the Mambas themselves. So it looks like Flint, Gunho, Tunnel Rat, and I don't know exactly who the gentleman is up on top there. Let's see here. And then we also have the Mamba attack chopper. So, um, like I said, I was kind of going off of what I could see on the schematics, which is where I was getting a lot of the information from to really do this. Now, the weight is 17,000 pounds, 17,100 actually. Um, has a two-man crew, fully loaded, going out to 210 miles. We have a range of, or miles an hour, we have a range of 450 miles. Now, I don't know if I actually went through and properly did the mile an hour uh, on mine. I'm just thinking about it because I know I was kind of going through it before. I thought I finished it up today, but I might have things messed up here. Okay, we have six laser seeking anti tank missiles and six 50 cal machine guns with about 1,000 rounds, which is interesting because in the schematics it talks about, especially on our microjets, those are 9 millimeter. So there is a little disconnect between the two of them. So do keep all that in mind. We'll see what we have here. Here it's saying the Mamba is 8.6 tons. It goes about 210 miles an hour out to a maximum range of 450 miles. It has four 9 millimeter rapid fire machine guns, which is what I had before, ordnance, 2 laser guided anti tank missiles, 5 subsonic air to air missiles. So I got roughly there. I did say that we have on the micro fighter jets, we have repeating blasters or whatever, kind of trying to keep it somewhere close to our 9mm machine guns. And I had 2 anti tank missiles on the microjets, and the main Mamba itself had two Nemesis air to ground and 6 air to air. So, you know, just kind of working with it as I looked like I really saw it here. So the Cobra Mamba is Cobra's primary attack helicopter. Another breakthrough of the Serpento regime, the Mamba was quite lethally a 3-fanged bite. With side-mounted detachable flight pods, a bevy of missiles, and its distinct low-profile design, this helicopter is capable of fending off almost any attacking aircraft, while the logistics of having the crew trapped in usable pods tend to keep away any volunteers for missions. The pilot enjoys a relative security of the medium armored, heavily armed flying weapons platform. A properly functioning Mamba is a devastating opponent. So we have 2 more views here. So we do have the Mamba in one of the video games. This is from a Nintendo game that they did many years ago. And last but not least, a commercial spot for the Mamba itself. So, we don't have any listings here for any other variations of this, but it is a very distinct vehicle, and it is a very interesting look um, for the time. And there was a lot of innovations that were going around, a lot of military ideas for the next generation helicopter platforms and all that stuff. Oddly enough, when we really look at it, we have not changed our helicopters all that much in the last going on 40 years. We're still using the base platform for the what was the Huey Cobra, which is now what the Huey Viper. Um, we have the whatever generation of Apache that we're working on right now. We went from using the Huey Cobra, or not the Huey Cobras, but just the general Huey uh, helicopter for transportation. We have upgraded that into something a little similar to the way this looks, because when we look at uh, my mind is failing me here this afternoon. Um, the Black Hawk, my mind can actually work. The Black Hawk does have a little bit of a sleek design, but it is still bulky because we are still carrying plenty of troops in there. Um, but the fact, and we have 3 different variations of it, 4 different variations of it, depending on which branch of the service you're working with. But you know, we haven't upgraded a lot. I mean, we've upgraded the actual machine to do more missions and everything else, but the actual machine itself is still relatively the same machine. So it is very interesting in that regard. Okay, back in 1987, this sold for about $9.50, which today doesn't seem like all that much, but it was quite a bit of money back then. So, um, it's interesting to look back and think about it. So, all right. So as we look at the Mamba here, uh, now I did kind of cheat a little bit here. I was looking at how Star Wars has been addressing um, helicopters. So they were putting helicopters at roughly speed or scale. So that's where I'm putting it. Um, just trying to keep a little continuity here. So if you think it's a little wrong, that's fine. Please put it at whatever scale you think it really should be at. But I am trying to find a little continuity here, seeing that we haven't really hit a lot of helicopters, and I'm trying to make sure I'm keeping it roughly about the right scale here. I think that when we had hit some of the other ones in the past, I think I did have them at speeder, but I'm just saying I did look it up to see what they were doing it and trying to follow suit. Okay, so the Mamba is roughly, I believe it said 58 feet long. Or no, actually it's not because it didn't list. Um, this is based off of, I think, the Apache. It's either the Apache or the Huey Cobra. Going off of that, just so we have a good sense of the width. Um, I have it as a crew of one, passengers of zero. Now they said a crew of two. So now here's the question: do we consider that as a crew of two? Because that cockpit in the middle does look like it's a little bit bigger. So we have a gunner and a pilot, which quite often is the case with a lot of attack helicopters. So I guess in that way, we'll say a crew of two. I don't have any passengers. Cargo capacity is about 300 pounds or 136 kilograms. I did give it a full coverage. And the altitude, based off of what some of the other helicopters have been, looking at the Apache and the Huey Cobra, we go roughly about 20,000 feet for a flight ceiling, which comes out to about 6,100 meters. I gave it a maneuverability of 1D. Now, I did that because that's what Star Wars has been putting their helicopters in. I really don't know what to say. This is going to be a wide bird, a little bit interesting here. So if it's not quite as maneuverable, it might make a little bit more sense here because we do have those two small microjets hanging off of it. Okay, so I did just change the move being 210 miles per hour or 338 kilometers per hour. I did give it a body strength of 4D. It did talk about it being a nice heavy duty um, helicopter able to take a little bit of abuse. Now we do have two Nemesis anti-tank missiles. Um, these are at Walker scale, a fire control of 2D and damage of 5D. I figured that would be appropriate. And then we have six air-to-air missiles, and those were supposed to be Diablo, but I'm just leaving it as air-to-air missiles. Again, I have them at Walker scale. Fire control is at 4D, and because I figured that might have like heat seeking or whatever in there, um, and damage is at 5D. So uh, just kind of going along with that. Okay, and we do have a light repeating blaster, which we will see kind of doubled down here. It is a front-facing um, personnel scale. Actually, um, why don't we do this? Because I think it should have a slightly heavier, not personnel scale, but we're going to put it at speeder for the Mamba itself. Okay, um, with a fire control of 2D and damage of 7D. So we're going to have that one as a heavier chain gun or whatever to kind of chop through things. Now we have the Mamba micro attack jet. So, and here again, it's at speeder scale, roughly about 13 feet long, 4 meters. Crew of one, no passengers, about 25 pounds of cargo, or 11 kilograms. Uh, because it's so small and compact in there, I figured they're not going to have a lot of extra room in there. I did give it a full coverage. Again, keeping that same uh, flight ceiling, so about a 20,000 foot uh, altitude range, and still at about 6,100 meters. This is going to be a little bit more maneuverable at 2D. So I have this going up roughly about, because I was looking up some micro jets, and they're going roughly about 232 miles an hour, um, which takes it about 373 kilometers an hour. It's a body strength of 2D, so it's not a very strong body on these because we're trying to cram everything in here. You had to make a little exception here for the weight allowance. Because if we're saying this is all coming in under 8 point, what does it say, 8.6 tons? So roughly about 8.5 tons. We're going to have a little give and take here. We do have the repeating blaster, a light repeating blaster, fire control of 2D. This is at personnel scale, and it's 7D damage. And we do have two more of the Nemesis anti-tank missiles. There's two of them, one under each little wing here. And it's a fire control of 2D, and it does 5D damage. And that's at Walker scale because it's using the same missiles of what the Mamba is using itself for the anti-tank. It's a lot here. Um, I think it encompasses what the Mamba is, trying to make sure that we list both vehicles on here. Um, I don't know exactly how you're going to reconnect these in air, but we can always say we're using repulsor lift technology or whatever to do that, which is always a possibility. Seeing that this is brought into our Star Wars universe, there's always that possibility there. So, with that, uh, hopefully I come across as giving it a good sense of what the Mamba really is. I think that we're encompassing that, but if I'm lacking somewhere, drop me a line, let me know in the comments, and that it's fun hearing people when you correct me, because sometimes my mind is just completely gone. I admit sometimes I'm recording these in the morning before I go off to work, and sometimes after I'm done with work, and either I'm just waking up or my mind is already fried from work, and here we are. I'm doing it here this afternoon, so I would think my mind would be working, but obviously we've hit a couple of stumbling blocks here. So, but this is always meant to be kind of like sitting around a table discussing this stuff, and that's, I think, one of the best ways to do it. So, with that being said, thanks so much for visiting. Hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next video.